Rainsword once dreamed of being a hero, born with the rare ability of beast taming. He could communicate with animals and form magical contracts to control them. But in a world where power meant brute strength and flashy spells, his gift was mocked. The hero party he joined didn't see him as a teammate, just a side act, a glorified summoner, nothing more. For 6 long months, Rein endured humiliation, always hoping that someday they'd acknowledge his efforts. But reality hit hard when the hero party's arrogant leader, Arios, finally kicked him out, publicly stripping him of his gear and dignity, claiming he was nothing but dead weight. Devastated and confused, Rein wandered aimlessly, wondering if his power was truly worthless. But life had other plans. While sitting alone, a group of kids approached him, excited to see his animal magic in action. For the first time in a long while, Rein smiled. He summoned a soaring eagle that greeted the children with a graceful bow. Their joy reminded Rein that he didn't need validation from so-called heroes. His power wasn't about battle, it was about connection. One curious child told Rein he wanted to become a beast tamer like him, saying, "Heroes think they're above everyone. I'd rather travel the world and help people like you." That innocent comment sparked something inside Rein. He realized he didn't need the hero party, the fame, or even the burden of fighting the demon lord. What he needed was freedom. Determined to chart his own path, Rein signed up to become an adventurer. But first, he had to pass a test. Eliminate 20 goblins and collect 20 healing herbs. Rein quickly tracked a goblin group with the help of a squirrel he'd temporarily bonded with. Though he wasn't a fighter, the goblins were weak enough for him to handle. But just as he was finishing up, a terrified scream echoed through the forest. He rushed toward the sound and found a vicious tiger cornering a lone girl. Rein, unarmed and desperate, charged with a dagger, but the blade shattered against the beast's tough hide. Before the tiger could strike, the girl launched herself into the air and delivered a spinning kick so powerful it brought the monster down. Rein was stunned. Her strength was unreal. As he looked closer, he realized this girl wasn't human. She was a rare cat spirit, a race so rare they were nearly extinct. Known for their agility and strength, cat spirits couldn't use magic, but they didn't need to. Exhausted, the girl accepted Rein's offer of food. Her name was Kinnaid. As she regained her strength, she told him she'd left her village in search of adventure. She believed their meeting was fate, and more surprisingly, she sensed a unique energy in Rein. Not just potential, something powerful. She even asked to be tamed by him. Taming a rare spirit beast? That was unheard of. But Rein, humble as ever, wasn't interested in showing off. He just wanted to get to know her better. With a drop of blood and a sacred spell, they formed a magical contract. A glowing rune appeared on their hands, symbolizing their bond. For the first time in his life, Rein wasn't alone. As they returned to complete his adventurer test, Rein summoned multiple rabbits to help gather herbs, an act that shocked Kinnaid. Most tamers could barely handle one contract at a time, but Rein, he juggled several effortlessly, and he just tamed a legendary spirit. Rein officially passed the trial and became an F-rank adventurer. Though the reward was modest, it was enough to get him started. Kinnaid cheered for him like a proud friend, maybe more. But peace didn't last long. A rude adventurer approached, eyeing Kinnaid with disrespect. He mocked Rein and invited Kinnaid to leave him for someone stronger. Kinnaid's eyes flared with rage. "He's not just my partner," she snapped. "He's my master, and I'm proud to be with him." After officially becoming an adventurer, Rein's journey had barely begun. And trouble, as always, wasn't far behind. While celebrating his new status at the guild, a loud, obnoxious adventurer approached and couldn't stop laughing when Rein introduced himself as a beast tamer. He didn't buy that a random kid had managed to form a contract with someone like Kinnaid, one of the rarest species in existence. To prove it was all a joke, the man challenged Rein to a friendly arm wrestling match with a twisted condition. If Rein lost, Kinnaid would have to leave with him. Normally, Rein would have walked away from something so childish. But this wasn't about pride. It was about Kinnaid's dignity. So, for the first time, Rein accepted the challenge. Seconds later, it was over. The man's arm was smashed against the table, swollen from the sheer force Rein had unknowingly used. Even Rein looked at his hands, stunned. The guild receptionist Natalie rushed in, furious. That man had caused problems before, and she apologized for not banning him sooner. Dragging him out of the guild, she promised it wouldn't happen again. Rein, though, was still reeling from a bigger realization. Where had that sudden strength come from? Kanad gently explained, when a beast tamer forms a contract with an ultimate species, they inherit a fraction of that beast's power. Rein had no clue. In his homeland, taming something like Kanade was considered impossible. No one had ever done it. Kanade, however, was ready for action. But instead of monster hunting, their next job turned out to be herb gathering. Ugh, lame, she groaned. Still, Rein, now an F rank, could only take the simplest quests. With his rabbit companions, he completed the mission quickly, much to Kanade's frustration. Even your bunnies are outperforming me, she muttered. On the way back, Kanade suddenly stopped. With her sharp feline hearing, she picked up a sound Rein couldn't. They followed the noise to find a group of thugs harassing an elderly merchant, members of the infamous gang Iron Fang, known for their cruelty and criminal dealings. Without hesitation, Rein and Kanade jumped in. Rein, now empowered and trained in martial arts, effortlessly took them down. But Kanade watched him closely. Something was changing. His power was growing. As she looked at him, her heart skipped. Her cheeks flushed bright red. Rein noticed too. Later, the old man warned them. Iron Fang never forgets. If you cross them, they hunt you down. Rein decided to strike first. With the help of a squirrel spy, yes, really, he discovered their hidden base. To Kanade's surprise, Rein then summoned a venomous army bee, a rare species whose sting can paralyze targets for nearly a full day. Normally, only insect tamers could manage such a bond, but Rein wasn't limited by titles anymore. Is there anything this guy can't do? Kanade whispered to herself. Rein sent her to rally help from the town. As she left, he formed another contract, with an entire swarm of paralyzing bees. Meanwhile, the merchant revealed a shocking truth. The guards he had hired for protection weren't just anyone. They were Rein's former hero party. They had failed their mission, and rather than admit defeat, they blamed their own Beast Tamer. The girl they berated had only summoned one squirrel, but according to them, she should have summoned 20. The hero leader knew the truth, but didn't care. To maintain their reputation, he threatened their tamer. Take the fall or face 1,000 spells to the face. Terrified, she ran. Back at the hideout, Rein unleashed his bee swarm, paralyzing the entire gang in one brilliant move. Moments later, Kanade returned with reinforcements, though only adventurers came. The knights had dismissed the threat as unimportant. Just as things calmed down, the cave began to rumble. A deafening roar echoed as 3 C-rank king lizards, hulking reptilian beasts, broke free from their chains. Iron Fang had been keeping them as backup weapons, but now they'd lost control. Rein shouted for everyone to evacuate. He and Kanade would handle the monsters. He thought back to how he would have run from this fight just weeks ago. But today, he stood tall, with a partner he trusted. Side by side, they fought and defeated the king lizards. As they emerged from the collapsing cave, the guild adventurers erupted in applause. For the first time ever, Rein's efforts were seen and appreciated. Even the guild officially recognized his success, awarding him a handsome silver coin reward. The two celebrated with new gear and a much-needed feast. That night, they found only one room available at the inn. Rein awkwardly hesitated, but Kanade smirked. "You're not like the others, Rein. I trust you." Reluctantly, he agreed, still blushing. Later, while watching Rein sleep, Kanade couldn't help but reflect. People had always seen her as an object, something to capture or sell for profit, but not Rein. He looked at her like she was someone worth protecting, not for power, but just because, and that made her heart flutter all over again. Fast forward 1 week, Rein and Kanade completed several missions with ease. But then came a high-paying offer from Natalie. 5 gold coins to stop a mysterious dog-like beast blocking Strait Bridge, a crucial trade route between continents. It hadn't killed anyone, but its aggression had brought commerce to a halt. Rein accepted the mission, but something felt off. Locals who had encountered the beast refused to speak. Their silence wasn't fear, it was terror. As Rein and Kanade reached the massive bridge, Kanade gasped. Above them flew a majestic red dragon. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a beautiful girl, another ultimate species. And this story is just getting started. So Rein and Kanade finally tracked down the mysterious guard dog, causing all the chaos near the bridge. And surprise, it's not just any dog, it's Tanya, a young dragonite who's here for her solo training journey. Now Tanya isn't just curious, she wants a battle. And not just with anyone. She challenges Rein and Kinnaid together. Remember, Ren's still human, but he's got Kinnaid by his side. A full-blown ultimate species, so it's game on. Tanya launches the first attack, and to her surprise, Rein actually blocks it. That earns him some serious respect, though he's clearly struggling. Tanya ups the ante with a fiery blast that actually scorches Kinnaid's tail. Kinnaid, not amused. She snaps, going full beast mode and taking the fight straight to Tanya. It's an even match. Power clashing, egos flaring, tails burning. And Rein? Well, seeing an opportunity, Rein tries a sneaky move from behind, but Tanya's no rookie. She grabs both of them and flings them into the air. Classic anime mid-air battle style. Just when she thinks she's won, the duo manages to counter using each other's momentum to dodge her aerial flame attack. Tanya's impressed. No one's lasted this long against me, she admits. But this is just the beginning. Rein, ever the strategist, comes up with a plan. He asks Kinnaid to buy him some time. She agrees, but her stamina's not endless. Tanya teases her, saying, "Running out of steam already, kitty?" Meanwhile, Rein disappears to the top of a tower where he notices a bird flying nearby. That's it, the key to his plan. Back at the battlefield, the brawl pauses. Tanya and Kinnaid are catching their breath when Rein returns, and he's not alone. A swarm of birds swoops in, dive-bombing Tanya in what looks like a ridiculous Looney Tunes-style attack. She's unimpressed until her body starts going numb. Turns out these aren't ordinary birds. Their beaks carry a paralyzing toxin. Even a dragon feels the sting. Tanya crashes to the ground, stunned and a little humiliated. She admits defeat. Rein, ever diplomatic, makes her promise not to cause any more trouble at the bridge. She asks suspiciously if he plans to sell her like some people do to rare monsters. But nope, Ren's not like that. He even reports her defeat to the guild, securing his reward and officially making the bridge safe again. But now, there's a problem. Tanya wants to join his team. Ren's unsure, especially with Kinnaid already in the party. But Tanya makes it clear, she wants to grow stronger. Just like Kinnaid. And honestly, she's kind of clingy about it. Kinnaid, she's definitely not a fan of sharing her trainer the jealousy's real, folks. Still, Rein decides to get Kinnaid's opinion. And surprisingly, she agrees. So, with her approval, Rein tames Tanya too. Another ultimate species joins the party, marked by the glowing bond symbol in her hand. Their team just got seriously overpowered. And just for the record, those adventurers who wouldn't tell Rein about the guard dog, Tanya didn't threaten them. They were just too embarrassed to admit they got their butts kicked by a teenage dragon girl. Can't blame them. Meanwhile, the hero party? Yeah, remember them? They're a mess without Rein. Lost in the woods for a whole week. Arguing, bickering, starving. They finally admit they might need their naive little Rein back. Of course, their plan is to sweet-talk him back and then dump him again once he's useful. Classic hero party trash behavior. Back with Ren's squad, things are heating up again. Literally. The guild sends them on a new mission to eliminate a slime infestation. Slimes? Weak monsters, right? Even F-rank adventurers can handle them. But since they're too weak, no one bothers. So their numbers grow, ruining crops and land. That's where our team comes in. Tanya's pumped and ready to burn them all to goo with her fire blasts. Kinnaid? Not so much. She's clearly grossed out. Slime corpses are sticky and slimy and not in a good way. Tanya laughs and says, "Don't smack them, roast them. Let me handle it." Kinnaid actually thanks her, and the two start bonding. Rein watches, smiling like a proud husband whose wives are finally getting along. Still, finding the slimes proves difficult. After scouring the forest, Rein has an idea. He summons that same bird and then, get this, uses his assimilation technique to transfer his soul into the bird. Kinnaid totally freaks out thinking he passed out, but nope. He's just scouting from the skies. Kinnaid and Tanya watch in awe as Bird Rein zips through the air, eventually locating a massive slime colony. Mission unlocked. With Tanya now part of the squad, Ren's party is stronger than ever. And with those shady heroes lurking around, he's going to need all the help he can get. Rein always thought his magic was weak. As a kid, he only managed to learn basic fire spells and some healing magic. Hardly impressive compared to warriors who could split mountains. But everything changed after he formed a bond with Tanya, a powerful spirit mage. One day, while the group was out battling slimes, Tanya asked Rein to try using his fire magic. Rein hesitated. "I can't wipe them all out with just one spell," he admitted. But Tanya insisted, "Just give it a shot." Rein stepped up. And what happened next shocked even him. His fireball exploded with 10 times its usual power, instantly turning the battlefield into a sea of flames. Even the forest caught fire. Rein couldn't believe it. Did I really do that? Tanya nodded, almost like she expected it. Turns out the moment Rein bonded with her, he didn't just get a new companion, he also unlocked her magical abilities. And while the boost was insane, controlling Tanya's magic wasn't easy. It was raw, overwhelming power, and Rein knew he had to learn to manage it. He asked Tanya to train him. She refused at first, admitting, "I'm a terrible teacher," but Rein convinced her. What followed was chaos. Tanya's methods were brutal. Rein made mistake after mistake, got yelled at, burned a few trees, but he kept going. Slowly but surely, he gained control. Eventually, he mastered the spells so well that even Tanya was impressed. After their mission, the group returned to the guild. Tanya, who once struggled to trust humans, was finally opening up. People in town had begun to like her, though Rein told everyone that her ears and tail were just a costume, to avoid awkward questions. Later that night, they went out to a buffet. Tanya and Kinnaid ate like they hadn't seen food in days, shocking Rein. During dinner, Tanya casually asked, "So, where'd you learn beast taming anyway?" Rein hesitated at first, but eventually shared a piece of his past. He came from a hidden village where everyone was a beast tamer, even his parents. The village didn't even have a name. It was so remote, no one knew it existed. When Rein was 12, his parents were away on a job, so he trained alone in the woods. But when he came back, the village was burning. He believes monsters attacked, and no one survived. Tanya and Kinnaid fell silent. They weren't just curious anymore. They felt his pain. Rein continued. "An adventurer found me and took me in. I did whatever work I could just to survive. Later, he was scouted by the so-called hero party. They seemed kind at first, but Rein soon realized they just wanted to use him. When they no longer found him useful, they tossed him out." Kinnaid finally understood why Rein always tried to protect others. He didn't want anyone else to suffer the way he did. Abandoned, helpless, forgotten. Soon, they received a new mission: eliminate a group of goblins. Tanya was overly confident. "Pfft, goblins? Easy," Rein warned her. "They're weak, but clever." She didn't listen. After taking out several goblins, Tanya lowered her guard, only to be ambushed. One goblin grabbed her ankle and another rushed in to strike. Rein threw himself in the way, taking the hit to save her. Though Tanya quickly blasted the enemy away, she was shaken. Rein was injured, and it was her fault. For the first time, she felt responsible. Back at the guild, Rein noticed Tanya had gone missing. Kinnaid told him she wanted to be alone. He eventually found her standing quietly on a bridge, staring at the water, her face weighed down with guilt. Just then, a young girl, Tanya's new friend, approached and asked innocently, "Did you fight a monster today?" Tanya didn't answer. The girl guessed she might be hurt. "My mom says if we don't talk about what's bothering us, the people who care about us will just worry more." Those words struck Tanya hard. After the girl left, Rein arrived. Despite the day's events, he wasn't angry. He was worried. Tanya was stunned. "Why isn't he mad at me?" she thought. That night at the inn, there was only one room available. Rein slept on the floor like always. Tanya, wide awake, kept staring at him. "Why can't I look away?" she wondered. Her heart raced. Her chest felt tight. Was it love? She didn't want to believe it, but quietly covered Rein with a blanket and went to sleep. The next morning, the group headed into town to buy new gear for Rein. Unlike the others, his body wasn't built for battle. He wasn't an ultimate species after all. But just as they were shopping, Rein froze. Standing in front of him was his old hero party. He turned to walk away, but their smug leader, Arios, blocked his path. "We let you go because you were weak," he said, mocking Rein again. Kinnaid and Tanya instantly recognized them, the ones who tossed Rein aside. Arios was about to brag when he noticed something strange. The two ultimate species standing beside Rein were protecting him, and then Kinnaid dropped the bomb. "We're with him!" Arios couldn't believe it. His brain practically shut down when he realized Rein was their master. Rein kept it professional. "Why are you here?" Turns out, the hero party needed Rein's help. They wanted him to guide them through the Lost Woods, a magical forest that constantly changes its shape, making it impossible to cross without a tamer's help. Funny, isn't it? The same people who once called him useless now needed him more than ever. After all the betrayal Rein had suffered from the so-called hero party, it was almost laughable when they came crawling back, asking for his help. Why? because they couldn't navigate the Lost Woods without him. The same woods Rein once guided them through when he was still part of their team. At first, Rein couldn't believe what he was hearing. The people who threw him out without a second thought were now back at his doorstep. And not with an apology, but with entitlement. Arios, the arrogant leader of the hero party, tried to spin it like Rein should feel honored to be useful to the heroes again. "You're lucky we're even asking," he smirked. His teammates chimed in, mocking Rein as if they were doing him a favor. Rein had enough. He turned to walk away, refusing to be dragged back into their world of condescension. But then Mina, the party's priestess, stepped in. Unlike the others, she tried to reason with him. There was something dangerous buried deep in the forest, a magical shield powerful enough to defeat the demon lord. Without Rein's help, she claimed, the heroes might never reach it. And if the demon lord wasn't stopped, cities would fall. And innocent lives would be the first to suffer. Rein wasn't moved by fear, but he did remember what happened to his own village, and he couldn't bear to let that happen again. Reluctantly, he agreed. But Kinnaid and Tanya weren't having it that easy. Before anything, they wanted a proper apology from the hero party. Arios swallowed his pride just enough to agree, but Tanya raised the bar. She wanted him on his knees, literally. Her fury was simmering just beneath the surface. She could have incinerated them all in one breath. Arios snapped, grabbing Rein by the collar. "Control your pets," he growled. That was it. Rein had kept quiet for too long, but insulting Kinnaid and Tanya? That crossed the line. Without hesitation, he landed a solid punch straight to Arios' face. The hero party was stunned. The worthless Beast Tamer just knocked out their leader. Kinnaid took on the bald tank of the party, while Tanya stepped up against two cocky spellcasters. The guy tried to insult Rein again, but Kinnaid was done playing nice. She exploded into motion, knocking him flat before he even registered her speed. "And here I thought heroes were supposed to be strong," she scoffed. The tank tried to retaliate with a special move, but Tanya effortlessly blocked it without even blinking. "Seriously? This is your big attack?" she mocked. Now ticked off, the two mages combined their attacks. Tanya barely had to move. Their spells didn't even touch her. She toyed with them until they collapsed from exhaustion, but Tanya wasn't done. Oh no. They disrespected Rein, and she was going to make them remember it. As the skies turned red and volcanic meteors rained down from magical portals, the girls panicked, until Tanya smirked. "Relax, kiddos, just a joke." Meanwhile, Arios tried playing the victim card. "I was just talking, man," he cried after taking Rein's punch. But Rein wasn't in the mood for mercy. Arios pulled out his sword and started fighting for real. His speed and power were impressive. He was the chosen one after all. Rein struggled to keep up at first, but this wasn't the old Rein anymore. He caught Arios mid-attack, drove a punch into his gut, and shattered a rock with the next. Arios was stunned. "How does a Beast Tamer have this kind of power?" Rein smiled. "This is the strength of those spirits you rejected." By forging bonds with Kinnaid and Tanya, Rein now had access to their strength and magic. Arios launched a lightning spell, one only the chosen hero could use. Rein countered with fire, canceling it out, but Arios still had the edge, pushing forward with advanced magic. That's when Rein played his hidden card. During the fight, Rein had secretly tamed a paralyzing insect. One sting, and Arios froze in place. Now helpless, Arios tried to sweet-talk his way out. "Come on, man. We're friends, right?" Too late. Rein's fist came flying. But before it could land, Arios fainted from fear. After that brutal defeat, the hero party had no choice but to apologize properly, this time sincerely. Even Tanya was finally satisfied. Rein forgave them. He wasn't one to hold grudges. With tensions cooled, Arios finally revealed the truth behind their mission. Deep in the Lost Woods was a legendary shield, protected by deadly monsters. Even if someone reached it, survival wasn't guaranteed. Arios, still arrogant, tried to order Rein to retrieve it. Tanya and Kinnaid immediately flared up, but Rein calmed them, gently resting his hand on their heads. That one gesture made both girls blush and melt on the spot. The trio headed off into the forest. But even in broad daylight, the Lost Woods were creepy, dark, shifting, unnatural. Tanya, annoyed by the gloom, casually suggested burning the whole forest down. Rein panicked. Arios had given them a map, but it was nearly useless. The forest was alive, constantly changing, trees growing at unnatural speeds. One wrong step and they'd be lost forever. Even though Rein had agreed to help the hero party, neither Tanya nor Kennedy were truly on board with it. They knew Rein was walking into danger just for people who once threw him away. Tanya, especially, wasn't thrilled. Truth is, if she really wanted to, she could probably beat the Demon Lord by herself. She wasn't doing this mission because she believed in it. She was doing it for him, though she'd never admit that out loud. I'm not doing this because I like you or anything, she mumbled, looking away with a red face. Kinnaid was the same, worried about Rein but struggling to express it. And Rein? Instead of saying anything dramatic, he just gently patted their heads. This time, the girls finally asked, "Why do you always do that?" He smiled softly. "I was just happy that you two were willing to fight for me." That small moment said more than words could. They moved on toward the shield's location, using the map Arios had given them, but it was useless. They followed the path only to end up right where they started. Not once, not twice, over and over. At first, Rein thought maybe he had misread something. But even his Soulbird scout, using his spirit projection technique, led him back to the same place. That's when Tanya activated her magic trace. It revealed the truth. There was an enchanted tree nearby, radiating illusion magic. The entire forest was a maze, designed to trap intruders in endless loops. Tanya proposed they destroy the tree, but Rein hesitated. "There might be another way," he said. She did have a backup plan, though it would take hours. Kinnaid, ever impatient, didn't want Rein stuck here any longer. So she geared up to rip the tree out of the ground by force. But just as she approached, a voice echoed, "Leave this place!" The tree began to glow, and from within it emerged a fairy. But not just any. This was a high-level ultimate species fairy whose magic rivaled even Tanya's dragon blood lineage. For over 200 years, fairies had gone completely silent. Their homeland was destroyed by humans who wanted wood, and what followed was war. The fairies fled, hiding themselves deep in enchanted zones like this one. Rein tried to speak, but the fairy's hostility was clear. She attacked instantly. Fairies never show themselves to humans unless pushed to the edge, but the trio had stumbled too close to the sacred barrier, one meant to protect the fairy village itself. Wait a second. Weren't they told that monsters were guarding the shield? So, were the fairies and monsters working together? Tanya quickly came up with a plan. "I'll distract her with magic. Kinnaid, you take the tree down while she's busy." But Rein raised a hand. "Let me try talking to her first." Both girls froze. Was he serious? That fairy was literally trying to kill them moments ago. But Rein had always believed even the sharpest claws come from wounds not healed. He approached slowly. The fairy, still tense, warned him, "Go back. I won't hesitate." Rein didn't flinch. "Just promise me one thing. Don't hurt my friends." And then the attack began. But Rein didn't dodge. He stood his ground, enduring every hit. He had taken blows like this before, when taming wild beasts with nothing but empathy. He could take it, just not his friends. The fairy, shocked by his resilience, asked, "Are you one of those humans who destroyed our home?" Rein's voice was steady. "Yes, I'm human, but not all of us are the same. And I won't claim I'm good. I just want to help." But she didn't believe him. Not until Tanya and Kinnaid stepped forward, telling her what Rein had done for them, how he'd saved them, trusted them, and never treated anyone like a tool. That's when the fairy finally lowered her guard. "My name is Sora," she said, "and I believe you." Sora explained the truth. The barrier wasn't protecting a monster. It was hiding the fairy village. And the shield? It wasn't guarded by beasts. It was under the fairy's care. The previous hero party had made a deal for the shield to be handed over to their successors. But now, Sora wanted them to leave. As Rein turned to go, he stopped. Something wasn't right. Sora looked sad, like she was holding something back. "What's bothering you?" he asked gently. She hesitated, and then she stopped herself. "It's nothing. You've done enough." But Tanya and Kennedy knew Rein too well. If someone's hurting, he has to help. Slowly, Sora opened up. She revealed that she and her twin sister Runa were guardians of the barrier. But one day, they left their post and were attacked by a terrifying soldier from the Demon King's army. A Shadow Knight, immune to magic. No matter what they tried, the monster wouldn't stop. Eventually, it grabbed Runa and gave Sora an ultimatum. Disable the barrier, or your sister dies. Desperate, Sora ran to her village for help, but even her leader refused. We can't risk the entire village for one life. That broke her. Tears welled in her eyes as she finished her story. And Rein? He didn't hesitate. He wiped her tears away, looked her straight in the eye and said, "From here on out, I'll take care of everything." Sora suddenly hugs Rein and breaks the news. Her sister's life is hanging by a thread. The evil Shadow Knight has captured her. And if the magical barrier isn't destroyed before sunset, she's done for. That leaves them with just hours to act. Sora wants to go with Rein, but he knows it's too risky. If the Shadow Knight sees her, things could spiral. Rein asks her to trust him. With that, Rein, Kincaid, and Tanya set off, tracking down the enemy's hideout deep inside the forest. And there she was, Sora's sister, tied up, terrified, held hostage. Rein had a plan. He starts off strong, casting a fire spell that engulfs the Shadow Knight's lair in flames, but it barely scratches him. This guy isn't just some random monster, he's built different. Kincaid leaps in with one of her killer kicks. It pushes him back, but not by much. The Shadow Knight eyes Rein and assumes he must be the legendary hero, but then he realizes the truth. Rein isn't here for glory, he's here to save a fairy. Betrayed, furious, Shadow Knight goes for the kill. Just as his blade comes down on the tied-up girl, Tanya swoops in with perfect timing, using her wings to shield and lift the girl to safety. The knight tries to stop her, but Rein and Kincaid double-team him. Still, no real damage. And the worst part? This guy hasn't even shown his full power yet. Suddenly, Shadow Knight spins with such force that it creates a shockwave capable of flattening the entire forest. Rein, shaken, thinks, if this is just one soldier from the Demon Lord's army, what kind of nightmare are we up against? But Rein doesn't panic. He strategizes. He finds a beehive nearby, uses his taming magic to control the swarm, and sends them in to distract the Shadow Knight. While the monster is swatting at bees like a maniac, Rein casts a power-boosting spell on Kincaid, amplifying her strength to insane levels. Kincaid feels the boost. With a fiery scream, she launches her ultimate attack, drilling straight through the Shadow Knight's chest. The beast collapses. Mission complete. Kincaid, still buzzing from the adrenaline, asks Rein what kind of magic he just pulled off. Turns out, it's a rare buff spell that multiplies strength temporarily, something he couldn't use before because of his limited mana. But thanks to Tanya's magic now supporting him, he can finally tap into it. Tanya returns with Sora's sister, and even she's surprised. "That spell's been lost for ages," she says. Rein shrugs it off. He learned it back in his village. Kincaid throws up a playful victory pose, and right then, Runa, the rescued sister, finally regains consciousness. Rein gently tells her, "Your sister sent us to find you." Runa thanks them, saying if they hadn't come in time, something terrible could have happened. Then she smirks and teases Rein, "You're probably wondering what exactly he would have done to me, huh?" "Typical guy," Sora scolds her, embarrassed by the comment. Rein can't help but think, they may look alike, but these two sisters are worlds apart. Kincaid chimes in, "Well, at least you're together now. That's gotta be worth something." But surprisingly, Sora says they won't be staying here anymore. She can't live in a place where people turn their backs on her sister. Rein tells her, "Wherever you go, just stay safe. This forest's got monsters far worse than Shadow Knights." That's when Kincaid suggests, "Why don't you join our party?" Tanya's cool with it too. Rein, curious but cautious, asks, "Would you really want to travel with a human?" Sora doesn't trust humans in general. But Rein, she trusts him. And just like that, both fairies agree to join. But here's the twist. Rein's never tamed fairies before. He's a Beast Tamer, not a fairy whisperer. Still, with some encouragement from Tanya and Kincaid, he gives it a shot. Cuts his thumb, draws a magic circle, and tries a brand new taming formula. It works. He tames both fairies, though the effort nearly knocks him out. As he stumbles, Sora and Runa catch him, and Tanya and Kincaid are not thrilled about that. A little jealousy never hurt anyone, right? Later, Rein heads off to deliver the rare shield the hero's party asked for. His new team stays hidden nearby. They're nervous because they know those heroes are nothing but bullies in shiny armor. The heroes, especially Arios, are shocked that Rein found the shield in just 2 days. They'd spent a week wandering the forest and came back empty-handed.